When you look at what they did, specifically Kevin Stefanski, with his offensive staff, it's completely remade.
Yeah.
What does that say to you after an 11-win season, and what's the goal of it, do you think?
So I think it's the most interesting thing, and we talked obviously a lot about it on the show, but I think it depends who made the decision. I don't necessarily believe it was a Kevin Stefanski-led decision. Now, you would say, well, they're an 11-win team. Why would somebody have to dictate that to them? And that's totally fair. I also know how organizations work. And so this is not me saying, oh, dysfunction, but there are a lot of cooks in the kitchen in the Browns organization. And, it's not as simple as Kevin's won two playoff seasons in 4 years and a playoff win in Pittsburgh his first year. It's not as simple as, well, he's the head coach, he has 75% of the power like it was 20 years ago or even 10 years ago in the NFL. So if it wasn't Kevin's decision, you could make a case that they ran out of patience with the offensive staff building the system completely and entirely around Deshaun. That doesn't mean if it was Kevin's decision or a Kevin-led decision that isn't the reason. But I think listen, we heard Kevin on the Deshaun podcast where he's like, well, this is how we're going to build around the quarterback, and you got to build around your quarterback. And I'll be honest with you, it goes in one ear out the other, because he said that all last year. And I think if you look at the first couple games of last year, they didn't really put out the spread out concepts that kind of make Deshaun the best version of Deshaun. So again, I don't think this is a negative, but I think this was, whether it was Kevin or whether it was the organization, I think they realized in the final 6 games of 2022, they were putting him in Jacoby Brissett's offense. Those are two wildly different quarterbacks. And I think this year, and injuries can be a part of that, I think this year they realized we still didn't see enough of an offense that mirrored what Deshaun did in Houston. So I think this was, no matter who made the decision, this was, we've got to do this. This isn't, this can't be, well, but I really like my offense. This can't be, well, but that's not what I'm familiar with. And so when you start bringing in Ken Dorsey, who, by the way, does like some of the same concepts that both AVP and Kevin Stefanski did, I think this is a clear sign of, all right, we're removing all excuses here. All right, first it was the talent around him. Well, we feel like we've built up a roster that can carry a quarterback that isn't a franchise quarterback, let alone Deshaun. And I think the staffs, I don't want to say it's a warning salvo, because again, that's very melodramatic, and I don't think we're there yet. But I think it's a sign to the staff. It's not just about Deshaun. You've got to put him in situations to be Deshaun, and there's a lot of reasons that doesn't happen in the NFL. It simply can't happen with this. You've got $230 million. You've got 6 top 100 picks. You've got now 3 years. They've said it's a 10-year thing from a contractual side, but you've got 5 years on the line, and you've already spent 2 of them. It's or get off the pot time. And so, I don't want to call it a warning salvo to Kevin, but I think Kevin's done a heck of a job. And I thought this year what I loved that he did was he won different ways. And that has been, for the first 3 years, it felt like the Browns wanted to win their way. And they'd rather lose their way than win a way that is counter to the way they want to do things. And the reality is that's not how the NFL works. You don't control the variables. You have to change on a dime, and you have to be fluid, and you have to be smart and think on your feet. This year, Kevin did it. I also think in a year's time, if Deshaun actually plays 16, 17 games, but he doesn't look like Deshaun, I'm going to tell you right now, guys, we know how the NFL works. And how the NFL works is either you make it work, or we're going to scapegoat you and find somebody who will. And you don't have to look any farther than Baker Mayfield as a guy who, when he was great, they loved him. And when maybe all of a sudden the play didn't match the antics, all of a sudden he was scapegoated, in comes Deshaun, and in comes the next 5 to 10 years of the franchise.